Ah, c'est bon, ouais.
C'est ça, mais non plus.
Let's start with, should I turn? Hold on a second. Is this better? Okay, that's better. All right. So let's just let's start with a prayer. If you guys don't mind, I'd like to stand just in honor. Yeah, if you don't mind. I'm going to do a quick prayer. God, thank you for another day. Lord God, thank you for everybody that's assembled here today, Lord God. Lord God, we love you. We thank you for all your many blessings, Lord God. We thank you for your hand that's on Ranlo. We thank you for being with us in everything we do, Lord God. We thank you for the money that you've sent to the town of Ranlo. We thank you for the money that's getting ready to come to Ranlo to support and help people in the future, Lord God. Lord God, we ask you to bless every home, Lord God. We ask you to bless this meeting and make it beneficial, Lord God. Make it productive, Lord God. Lord God, I ask you to continue to bless every employee, Lord God. Starting with the town manager, Lord God, the chief, the public works director, Lord God. We ask you to continue to bless every worker. Help them to do what's right in your sight. Lord God, we love you. We thank you. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. All right. I'm sorry, Commissioner Hill, what did you say? We hear you. Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. I've got you meeting. Mr. Henson. That's
Connected to the speaker because my computer's connected to the speaker. I think it's easier with a phone call, and I think it's just going to constantly do this because my computer's just in the Teams, and that's why it's doing
okay. Which, okay. All right. Has everybody had a chance to look over the agenda, commissioners? Look through this current agenda. Have it, looked at it.
Yes, and the roll call.
All right. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda? Oh, I'm sorry, roll call. I overlooked it. Let's go with the roll call.
Mayor Partridge.
Here.
Mayor Robin Connor. Here. Commissioner Doug Moore.
Present.
Commissioner Ronnie Walls. Commissioner Effie Locklear. Here. Commissioner Schmidt.
Okay. That finishes the roll call. Let's go to the adoption of the agenda.
I'll make the motion to adopt the agenda as written.
Okay, all in favor? Okay. Comments from the attendees. Okay, we got a lot to go over tonight, so we're gonna have to keep those attendees. Comments, don't have any. Okay, good.
Good?
Yeah, well, not good, but who?
You didn't sign up.
Yeah. Online.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, since there's only one, can you keep your comments to 3 minutes?
Yeah. And I don't even know if you guys are able to do anything at this meeting. Caitlin McKendry.
I'm sorry, you're gonna have to state your name and address.
2706 Lowell Road.
Okay.
I was here about the zoning. I know the zoning meeting was canceled for this month. But we just recently found out, like, especially in my neighborhood and on the main road, our houses are industrial, so if we have a fire, we can't rebuild our homes. And I'm actually in the process of trying to refinance my home, and nobody will finance my house because it's industrial, and I can't rebuild it. So I'm trying to see if there's a way to get zoning pushed through, because we've already been waiting a month, and then the meeting was canceled for this month, so we're still waiting. So,
Are you aware of this?
Yeah, and we can connect either after this meeting or I can touch base with you. That is something that would probably have to go in front of the planning board and back to this big board. If that's what essentially the Ranlo 2040 land use plan and that zoning would have said, that's something that would need to go in front of the electeds. But you and I can always chat through this, and I can always try to help. We had to cancel it because there's been some different appointments made, and quorum can't be met with that board at this current point, and we have to have 2 other county ETJ appointees. So we had just started back to the planning board. Basically, it's been kind of idle for the past couple of years. So I'm giving you a long-winded answer, but we can connect after this, and I can always
Now,
get
is
your
this
information and help.
just for her home, or is this for all?
this is for Laurel.
Would you not think we need to hear from the Laurel residents instead of one?
Yeah, well, yes. It does apply to other homes that are not just this.
They may not even know.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
going on. We just found out.
That she has a home in the area as well.
You live off East Street?
Yes.
I've only been there 3 years. And when I financed that house, there was nothing in there that said it was industrial, and told me that I could not rebuild if there was more than 51% of structural damage. So, this is.
I'm sorry, we're gonna have to go with format. Do you mind, I know you didn't put your name on the roll, but do you mind speaking your name, stating your name and your address?
Yeah, right now.
Yes.
Angela Basil. Address is 2710 Lowell Road.
I wasn't saying it was wrong, I'm just saying, we need to hear, I would think we need to hear from more than 2. How many houses is on Laurel Road, it's in Ranlo?
Well, I looked at it, it looked like there's about 15 to 20 houses. And they probably don't have any idea that this has actually happened, that y'all have zoned this. We don't know exactly when, do you know exactly when this happened?
It was in 22. I bought my house in 2019, and it wasn't zoned that way back then. And I didn't find out until trying to refinance, and I'm being denied for any financing due to that.
Is that something that require a public hearing?
We can talk about it with our planning folks. I think, so this would all been before I was here. So, what will probably happen is it was the zoning that probably adopted the Unified Development Ordinance or the UDO. It's probably zoned industrial to some parcel within that district of that overlay. So it's probably like it's near other industrial
I
facilities.
have it now.
Yeah, and we could always pull it up too. But yeah, it was just, it's a process that we go through, but bringing it here is exactly how to look at it and notice. I don't even know if I had looked deep enough into the zoning map to realize that would happen until you brought it up. So, but we can absolutely work together to bring it to the planning board, bring it back to this board for consideration to, any potential changes if they consider it or whatever. So we can
Would
connect.
would we have to have a public hearing for that?
I'm sure if there's any rezoning, yes, but I can get all that information brought to you, and we can have a roadmap laid out. We'll obviously have to go through the planning board for discussion.
I'm just curious, is there a particular project that you're trying to get refinanced at your home?
We did an addition on our home that we were able to get a building permit through with no issue, but we went to refinance to finish the remaining updates, and we can't.
Wow.
So we can add on to the property, but we can't, if we have a fire, we'll just kind of add on the house. We can't build a house back.
Okay, and, I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Caitlin McAndrews.
Spell the last name.
NC8NDRW.
Okay. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you.
All right. We'll look into that. You're gonna speak to her and then we'll add it to the planning board. Okay.
This was the right thing to do.
That's true.
Okay, Adoption of the April 7th, 2026 budget workshop minutes of the board.
I'll make a motion to adopt.
All in favor? Okay. I had a chance to look at them too. Looks very good. It looks very good. Great. But let's look adoption of the April 9th regular minutes of the board.
Make such a motion.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Sure. All in favor? Okay. Now, it looks like we're gonna talk about it, but obviously, we can't do it tonight. Adoption of resolution for the Ebony Fest Juneteenth Festival 2026. So, apparently, Ms. Hanson, you told me that Tasha White could not be here tonight and wanted to move this back.
They're looking forward to coming to the June meeting for a nice big celebration. We'll take a picture and read the proclamation.
Okay, yes, and she actually sent the proclamation over. I actually wrote one too, but we'll use hers. I'm sure hers is better. All right, so we're going to table that one. All right, so we're going to move on to the item number 8, presentation from Davenport and Company.
Can I set the table a little bit too? Is that all right, Mr. Mayor?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, so before Mitch, who is amazing, just love Mitch to death. Before Mitch starts, I kind of want to just give like 2 seconds of context, right? So we have had a lot going on in the past, we'll call it 8 to 10 years, of which Mitch actually has been a part of, was here kind of when Jonathan first started and kind of the rebuild and restructure of this whole thing. So Mitch is very familiar with Ranlo. We've actually worked with Davenport before. And then when I kind of we were having conversations in budget workshops about, hey, we've been, even though we're a small town and our commas are less than a Mecklenburg County, we still have very healthy, what we call finances, right? So like, I know Mayor Pro Tem Connor, you had said, well, this is great, we have a lot of money, so then, how do we start either giving back or how do we start thinking, okay, our goal was to kind of get out of the hole, get LGC to kind of trust us a little bit more, and say Treasurer's Office, be like, you guys are killing it. Well, we're kind of at that place now. So we have some money to leverage. So my thought was, and I reached out to some colleagues nearby, and they all recommended the same guy who's standing here tonight, Mr. Mitch from Davenport, as a wealth management company. I'll let you do the introduction, but to kind of help us leverage the money that we have, knowing that we have some capital needs, knowing that we have these large projects coming up. This is where these guys come in and offer those exact type of services. So I think what we'd be looking for tonight is just to listen, to kind of hear what Mitch has to say, and then obviously we consider entering into an agreement like we have already asked for them. So, Mitch, take it away.
Great. Well, thank you all for having me this evening. I will be very brief, but just appreciate the opportunity to reintroduce ourselves and introduce ourselves for the first time to some of y'all. I'm going to just jump quickly to page 2 here. As Charlie mentioned, we have been under contract with the town since 2021 as your financial advisor on an as-needed basis. And in 2021, when we first came in and were engaged to do, and I should have said in front of y'all, I did print some hard copies for you if you prefer that. Engaged to come in and do an overview of your financial situation, and there was some talk about potential projects. Obviously, Town Hall at the time was already deteriorating. So a lot different conversation back then than it is today, right? Y'all were in a tough spot, and y'all have done the hard work to get out of that, and you're back in a very healthy financial position. Obviously, still need to address that site. And have got some dollars coming in to do that. And so, much better position to think about funding that project. What does the future look like? What other projects have you all talked about, thought about, desire to do? And what does that mean for you in terms of your future finances, right? That's kind of where we come in. As a financial advisor, we are a fiduciary to you all as the town. We are your advisor. We are not lending you money. We are not a counterpart. We're not sitting across the table from you, right? We're sitting on the same side of the table with you all, helping you try to figure out what plans you want to implement and actually implement those plans, right? So we do this all over the state. We've been lucky enough to do that, including here with you all in the past. The firm itself, Davenport, for those of y'all who aren't familiar, been around for a long time, since 1863. Based out of Richmond, Virginia, have offices throughout Virginia, North Carolina, and we have public finance offices, which is what I do, advise folks like yourself in Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia. So, been lucky enough to have a lot of experience around this mid-Atlantic area, and would really be excited to go through this next step of the process and growing phase with you all. In talking to Charlie about where you all are and what your needs are, we kind of sketched out this scope of work that put our heads together, thought this might be a good next step for you all, and kind of break it up into sort of initial phase, or what I'll call like the near-term immediate phase, right? Which is, you got grant dollars coming in, got a building to build, right? And how do you do that? What does that mean for you all in terms of your finances? What is the impact? That would kind of be the first step in the process, right? Helping you through that, analyzing it, making some decisions about how you fund it, if you choose to fund it, and where does that leave you afterwards, and then helping you fund that process. And then longer term, just what are some of your bigger goals, objectives, visions, dreams, and how could you think about maybe implementing that over a longer term period of time? You know, I know that site's a large site, there's multiple projects that could be done there, but maybe they have to be phased out, and how do you phase those out and plan for those? So just a little bit more on sort of the initial scope of work, how we kind of envision this. I think the first step for you all is understanding, okay, you know, Charlie's working on the project side of things. You know, how much does this project cost? What is it going to look like? At the same time, on the finance side, we could be working on, all right, where do we stand from a credit perspective, right? Town, just like us as individuals, right? We've got to go to a bank and get a loan if we want to build an addition on our house, or if we want to buy a new house or buy a car. Got to go to a bank, the bank's going to pull our credit score, they're going to look at our last 3 years of financials or income, our W-9s, whatever it is, right? Lenders are going to kind of do the same thing for the town, right? And you all are in a much better position going into those conversations now than you were before. So kind of establishing on the front end, where do we stand? Is it reasonable for us to go out for a loan? And what's kind of the reasonable areas? And do we even need a loan, or can we fund it with cash, right? And how do those different things impact us, right? So those are kind of the initial credit assessment that I would say. It's like kind of getting pre-approved for a mortgage sort of deal. Understanding where you stand before you go out to buy a house. Other part of this analysis or initial phase will be kind of understanding your credit options, right? So what do I mean by that, right? Well, if we go to get a mortgage, we know we're going to go to a bank and we're going to put a lien on our house. And on that mortgage, that loan is going to be secured by our house. If we don't pay, the bank's going to come take our house, right? There's a similar financing structure in North Carolina, but there are some other options as well. So understand what those options are. And then also, how do we go out and get the loan, right? We can go directly to a bank, that's an option, but there are some other options. There's some federal programs, there's some options that open up a larger investor pool, and so we can look into those and kind of analyze each one of those and figure out what makes the most sense for y'all. That'll be part of the process. Another next step in the process. Sorry.
Doing all the things.
Is understanding maybe the longer term impact, right? And the impact of what those options are on your current financial status, right? So if you choose to fund it with everything with cash, what does that do to your reserves? What does that do to your financial position, right? Because y'all worked really hard to get back to where you are. We don't want to go backwards, right? Now, we probably may spend some of that cash, right? I mean, it's part of why it's there, but maybe not all of it, right? There may be other aspects like financing that bridges the gap. And what does that mean for you all in terms of budgetary implications, cash flow? Kind of refer to that as debt affordability, right? And what does that mean in terms of your future funding capacity? If you have other projects beyond this, if you finance this project or you borrow cash for this, or use cash for this project, what does that mean for your future capacity, your ability to fund other projects down the line? So we'll kind of look at all that in context of what are our options for funding this facility and try to come to what's the best approach, what is your preferred approach, right? And that's where we get into this plan of finance, right? You kind of make that decision for how are we going to fund this project. And then within that, if there is a borrowing, there's other aspects of, how long are you going to borrow for? Is it going to be 10, 15, 20-year term? Is there options to go longer to make the payment lower? Those type of conversations will be part of that development of that plan for that facility. And then if you choose to include a financing as part of funding that building, we can help you through that process, right? We can kind of guide you through the whole process from initially saying, what are we going to do, to creating a schedule to achieve it, negotiating with lenders, helping you work through the local government commission to get approval of that loan, because you would need their approval to enter into that loan, and ultimately kind of handle it all the way through the closing process for you. So you kind of have a good roadmap. This is what we do. We do it every day. If you don't, there's a lot of steps that I know can be confusing and overwhelming. So that's kind of where we, again, sit on the same side of the table with you all, guide you through the process. So that would kind of be what we see as the initial scope of work, right? And there may be a few meetings with you all where we kind of go through the options and sort of big picture educational on the front end, get some guidance, feedback from you all, and then start to dig in on a more detailed plan. Bigger, sort of take a step back from that, where do you go longer term, is maybe, I know Charlie's expressed a desire to kind of think about the future, is kind of looking at more of a structured, longer term capital improvement plan, right? Understanding what your needs and desires are, how can those be phased in over time, what is the cost of doing those, and revisiting it regularly, every year, every other year, because needs change over time, right? Something may be important today that's not as important 2 or 3 years from now, so constantly revisiting that is part of the process. Ultimately, if you get to the point of doing it annually, you revisit it annually, and it just becomes part of the annual budget process as this longer-term capital improvement plan, kind of a roadmap for the future of funding projects, if that's what you choose to do. So, did I keep it under 5?
Yeah.
I did. All right, so that's just kind of big picture. There is a little more, and I'm not, you know me, I'm not a big commercial guy. So there is some more credentials for us in the back, but that's really all I just wanted to share. I mean, we'd be excited to jump in and help you out, but I think it's a great story. Just looking back 5 years ago to where you are today is pretty impressive. Happy to answer any questions.
What's the most, knowing that you've already overviewed our finances, when it comes to construction of this town hall, a new one, what would you see a limit, an amount that we shouldn't exceed? Is that a fair question?
And maybe asking a little bit too much, just because he hasn't run like our full independent financial audit, right? What I think would be an interesting point, I won't answer for you, but I will use a quote you told me, is that there's a big difference in debt capacity and debt affordability, right? I've been saying that ever since you basically kind of mentioned it, which is at some point what we'll have to do is sit down, and if we enter, the whole idea of us talking tonight is for the board to basically, give a blessing to enter back into this agreement that we basically already have. It's just an updated one. So we can start these conversations and have Mitch really dig into it and look. But I think one of the things we'll have to think about and really consider is the capacity versus the affordability, right? Like we may be able to, or have the set capacity, and I'm stealing all your words, to afford $1 million principal payment, but can we afford $1 million principal payment, right? That'll be some of the kind of conversations that.
Yeah, I mean, think about it this way, right? When you go out to buy a house, I used this earlier, right? You may go to a bank and they'll pre-qualify you for a $350,000 mortgage, right? But then go home, sit at the table, and you start to think about it, like, gosh, I gotta get a new fridge, my kids need daycare, or my parents are getting older, and I gotta have help with that. And you start looking at your monthly budget, and you're like, there's no way I could build in that $350,000 payment on a mortgage, right? So that's kind of the difference between debt capacity and debt affordability. Somebody will lend it to me, it's reasonable for them to give me this loan, but based upon what I know about my personal spending habits and my personal needs, I can't get there, right? So that's where that question, I'm not dodging the question, I would like to understand more, but it's also kind of some of your feedback, right? It is, to a certain extent, it comes down to how much are you willing to be able to build into your budget from an affordability perspective will drive how much you could fund if you wanted to. So I think it's a conversation. I think putting some numbers to it will help you kind of get your thoughts together on that and give some feedback, and we'll take that and we'll rework it and build it into this analysis.
It would be tough for us to ask Mitch to put a dotted line on something now, because that would create, even if it's not meant to, it would create an expectation, and if we ever deviate from that after we get real answers of data, well, we thought it was this because we just try to run with the hesitation to me shows responsibility. Like, let's really look at the numbers before we can even begin to think what the number would be.
I guess the reason why I'm asking that is because like we have some of the concept designs
Yeah.
for this town hall. So I'm sure that with these designs, with each option, they already kind of have an idea of the cost.
Yeah.
So I am assuming that being that we do have these options, that obviously we can afford these options, or we wouldn't have designed the options. You know what I'm saying? We wouldn't, it's like if I know I can only afford a $50,000 home, why would I want you to send me $1 million homes? You know what I'm saying? If I can't afford it. So I'm assuming that these must be somewhat affordable for us to already be given the options. Is that fair for you? Do you see what?
Well, first of all, I have not seen the cost associated with the conceptual
It's a town
designs.
manager question, I guess.
But just real quick, I will say, I think the affordability question is also a personal and a policy question, right? It's what you view as affordable, may or may not, may think is a different number, right? So that's a little bit of the conversation that goes on. We can facilitate that for you all to have and kind of narrow in on that. So, it's prioritizing, where do you want your dollars to go? Do you want your dollars to go to this or somewhere else? So that's where it's a little bit of a gray area, right? It's kind of there's some policy guidance that we need in making that decision and giving you that guidance on what is affordable, not just us grabbing your 2025 audit, which is 9 months old at this point, and telling you what the answer is.
Yeah, but it's all within the realm of the possible, based on the numbers that we gave our architects 8 months ago or whatever it was.
They
We wouldn't,
had some.
they wouldn't have put something that was $50 million in front of us, knowing that it was unrealistic.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a question, but the most impressive thing that I saw on your presentation is the fact that your experience. So, and then the engagements. So I'm assuming these are references that we could even talk to, right? So
Happy for you to reach out to anybody we work with.
Okay. So it looks like if you look at their engagements, they've worked with multiple towns, multiple counties, including the city of Charlotte. So
Yeah, I mean,
Their experience.
we do a lot of work in this area, work with the county, work with a couple of towns in Gaston County, work with Lincoln County, Union County. Some of my colleagues have worked with the city of Charlotte. I do not personally work with them, but some of my colleagues do. City of Kannapolis, just a lot of folks around this area.
Yeah, and it was good that Charlie reached out to you for professional help in that guidance of finances, future financing. So, I don't really have any questions right now because there's nothing that we really present without you getting into our finances.
I think if the board would be okay with it, we could even just do a straw poll, because I could probably just do it on my own, but I was just in the efforts of full transparency, just go ahead and give me some straw polls, or we could take an official vote on, just, let's go ahead and enter back into the agreement, and then we can have conversations
I
after.
think we can vote on that.
Yeah, well then,
I'll make a motion.
Before you say that, enter back into the
yeah,
agreement.
well, we had, one from, when would that have been, 2021?
Yes, from 2021, so our agreement from 2021, I would call it kind of evergreen. It's either party can terminate at any time, and you use us as you need us, right? So we're kind of there. It is, the agreement is still there, just Charlie and I felt like, you know what, it's been a few years, there's some new members.
Yeah.
We put an addendum together to that agreement just to say, hey, yeah.
And so we got you give us like a monthly, yearly cost or something like that.
Yeah, so in our kind of standard agreement, there's a couple of options for the initial phase of this planning work. It's a pretty standard agreement. We've got a retainer, we've got hourly. I defer to you all, but as we get started back into it, maybe hourly makes sense just until kind of get a feel for how much you'll be needing us, but that's totally up to you all. And then the actual transactions are separate. Right, so if you do decide to do a financing, we would agree, we've got not to exceed fees in there, but we would agree based upon the scope, the type of financing, these options that you select, we would set a not to exceed fee for that specific financing and then agree on an amount once we know the details.
I mean, for me, I don't know what the board thinks, but I would like to see the possible financing options. For like to see the numbers for me. And actually, Charlie has a better feel, and you guys may have a better feel on how much we may need. So I would like, before you make a vote on that, I would like to.
This is not agreeing to any financial,
Yeah, no, it's not.
financing, this is agreeing for him to work with us to find that financing.
To get,
And
To get to the financing.
Yeah, but we're paying for his services.
Right, we're already paying for them now. We're already paying for them.
you're not paying for me until you ask me to do something.
Right,
So,
right, we got that retainer. We paid that retainer to have it.
Right, and so that's what I want to see.
Right.
So,
Yeah, again, that retainer is an option, but we also do it hourly. Right now, for you all, we're on an as-needed basis. So you call us, you need us, we would do it hourly, set a not to exceed or something, however you want to handle it. That is an option in this agreement. So you could say, we're not going to do that, just we're going to work under the old agreement, or it's the same exact thing, and nothing changes. I sit here until you call me and say, please do this.
Yeah.
And then I would get started.
And right now, what you're saying is the agreement is hourly.
Yes, sir.
The reason for this whole conversation tonight is kind of twofold. One, we haven't used Mitch in a very long time, but now we're at a place where we can leverage this, and this is an exciting time. We can start working with Mitch again and start helping us leverage our long-term planning goals. Boom, that's number one. Number two is we have the updated agreement that's essentially still evergreen, but just had some updated addendum. If the board's all good with it, we will start working and everything will be great and more. It's kind of what it shakes down to. It's like, we had a need, we reached out, it's here now, we're excited about it. Here's how it looked, if everybody's good with it, that's what we'll do.
So what do we need to do tonight? I mean, as far as Davenport or?
Yeah, so are you saying it's basically still active, or you still would want us to resign?
I think it makes sense to put the addendum in place, kind of more specific to this scope, but
And that's what I was asking.
Yeah, the agreement.
Yeah, and that's what I was asking, but, yeah, we need to, maybe I didn't see agreement, but we need to make specifics on, what we would be paying would it make more sense to have some set amount that we pay yearly or monthly, as opposed to something hourly?
And that would be basically how much service we would need, right? There could be some math that we do kind of internally, like if, we're very aggressive and we're talking all the time, it would just be to take a look at how much service we're gonna essentially need.
Right, could we change it midstream?
Yes, sir. So if you find that you want me over here daily, then, maybe the retainer does make sense, right? And then you could say, you know what, we want to flip to the retainer, and no problem. We jump to that, we kind of true up for where we're at, and we flip to the retainer.
Well, I agree with you then. We could, move forward with just continue with the services that we have now.
I'll make a motion, we do the agreement that we have now and
We'll do it and, yeah, just to call it good, yeah.
without the retainers that are with us.
I
Okay,
second that.
all right, all in favor? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm excited. Look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you, sir. So now we're gonna have a presentation and resolution from Wooten Company on wastewater AIA report.
Yes, good evening, Mayor.
Yes, sir, and I'm sorry, what's your name again, sir?
Matt Eccles,
Okay,
and I'm with the Wooten Company here to talk about the sewer asset inventory assessment project that we just completed for the town. The state, DEQ, Division of Water Infrastructure, gives out these $150,000 grants twice a year to local government units to encourage water and wastewater utilities to become more viable and more proactive in the management and financing of their systems. So on the same thing as before, this is more of a planning activity where we get a good handle on what we have, we try to better manage our assets, and then figure out what it's going to cost to maintain and fix those assets as they outlive their useful life, as a lot of them have. But our specific scope of work was establish an updated GIS-based inventory of sewer system assets. The town already had a pretty decent GIS inventory. We added a few of the newer neighborhoods to it, so those are mapped now. We added estimated age of all the assets based on property records, and we added the pipe materials as well. Then we were to document the condition of key assets through smoke testing and closed circuit television inspection. I'll get to more on what that means in the coming slides. Then we, using that field reconnaissance, we identify and prioritize system deficiencies and find what we need to fix and determine what's the most important and what should come first and what maybe could wait a little longer. And that goes into the 10-year capital improvements plan for the sewer system. And this is to provide the town with a framework for project planning and funding requests as it relates to the sewer system specifically. And the grant also funded an asset management software implementation. It's called InfraForce. Will hopefully help out with some of this asset management and keeping things current and keeping track of things. Next slide. So the first step is an asset inventory. This is the newest map of the town sewer system. There's 20 miles of gravity sewer, right at exactly 20 miles. Those are the yellow lines. And then 535 manholes, which are the yellow circles. And the town has 3 pump stations, the green boxes you see there, and 3 force mains with those totaling 1.7 miles. The force mains are the green lines. So for the condition assessment, we had 3 methods that we assessed the condition. Known deficiencies, those are things that we already knew, things we could see that we know are broken or need to be addressed, things that CJ has discovered, just normal operating days. And then sometimes streams tend to encroach on sewer lines as streams migrate over the years. So those were some examples of some known deficiencies that we had right off the bat that we do should be included in the CIP. The next two were our exploratory methods of condition assessment. Smoke testing, it's where we force a bunch of smoke into the sewers and wait for it to start showing up above ground. Best example is we're looking for a crack in one of the sewer pipes. If you put a bunch of smoke in it, the smoke's gonna rise up through that crack, eventually through the ground, and we'll see a little smoke signal coming up. So we did that for about 80,000 feet of sewer line, not the entire system, but pretty close to it. And smoke testing is a little tricky. It doesn't tell you what's wrong, it just tells you that there's something wrong there. So the main purpose, in my opinion anyway, is to use smoke testing to prioritize CCTV inspections, which was our next method for evaluation. And that's where we actually send a robotic camera into the sewer line and get pictures and video of the inside of the pipe. And you can see in detail the shape that the sewer lines are in. So next slide, just a couple examples of some known deficiencies. You got the aerial sewer crossing on the left. We think it was damaged during a recent storm and just kind of knocked one of those piers over, so you can see it's not in a straight line anymore. And there's a stream encroachment in the picture on the right. That happens fairly often. That's one of the more impressive ones I've seen. But those are the easy ones. We can walk around and see those. So for smoke testing, this sort of shows you what we see when we smoke test. The little map here, those red dots, that's just a little snippet of town. But each of those red dots is a point where we found smoke, surveyed the location, took a picture, described it, and all that is in the asset management software now. So we got a really good kickoff to the asset management program just by doing our smoke testing within your asset management program.
And that is smoke coming out of that.
Out of the software,
Yes,
yes.
I mean, it's stormwater's getting the system.
That is not good when you see that. So then, CCTV inspections, that's really the meat of the work that we did. We inspected about 5,000 feet, so CCTV is a lot more time consuming than smoke testing. So a lot of smoke testing, but you can only do a small area of CCTV with the same amount of money. We found a lot of defects with CCTV. All but 3 line segments had at least one crack in it, so we tested. So, not too uncommon with really old clay sewer pipe. It's brittle, and it's been there since the 30s in some cases.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Okay.
With CJ, with Public Works, don't we do this kind of camera work also? To
Yes.
look at it? So what's the difference in your camera work versus your camera work?
So,
If you don't mind,
go ahead.
the grant that DEQ gave us hires a contractor to do it for us. So my manpower, my staff don't have to go through, and when he said he video camera and clean, a contractor come in there and they spent 4 weeks every day doing that. My crew, my four-man crew can't do that
Okay.
with all the other water leaks and stuff we do. That's what this grant gave us is, here's your grant contract to have, so you can get engineer and a contractor to put all that in a nice file for you to see what the problems are.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and CJ's doing it more for operational purposes. When something's wrong, and he knows something's wrong, he's gonna go pick one line to TV. And it's extraordinary that a town this size has its own camera equipment too, because that's not very common, so
We're an extraordinary town.
you're commendable, absolutely. But that, did answer your question?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
So yeah, we find, those are the common defects that we find: cracked pipes, offset joints, roots getting into the lines, which can lead to obstructions and sewer overflows. Same with service tap intrusions, and we even found a couple of pipes that utility contractors had bored through the sewer line. Put one of those pictures here on the next page. Just some examples of some of what it looks like when we're reviewing the footage. The one on the left, that's showing a pipe that's in pretty good condition with just a minor joint offset. So right at the front of the picture, you can see that little lip going into the second pipe section. And what that does is it traps things and leads to build up and blockages. So that type of line that's in pretty good shape with some minor joint offsets, maybe some minor cracking, those can be fixed. Those can be rehabilitated using cured in place pipe, which is a trenchless technology that does not require you to dig it up. So any chance that we have to use that technology to fix some of these issues, we are recommending that be done. Now, the picture in the middle, that is a more severe joint offset. That's one that would not be possible to line. So to fix that one, you're gonna have to dig it up and replace it. Big cost difference in those two. And then sort of a hybrid example on the right, where we have the lovely unknown utility bored through the pipe. That would be, the rest of the pipe looks okay, so you can maybe do a point repair there, dig down, have the utility relocate the pipe, and then line the rest of it and move on from there. Each of the segments we inspected has its own report. It looks sort of like this. This is just a partial of it, but it lists the main information about the pipe, the material, the size, the location, whether it's in the road or the grass, and then along the right side of the page, starting at the top, that is the access manhole, so that's where we put the camera in, and then we measured. It knows how far it's traveled down the line, so it knows at 15.6 feet, we saw a crack, and so on and so forth. So we have all that data in the asset management software.
Does this mean we have a lot of water leaks? Can you have all these cracks and all?
Sewer.
Yeah, this is just sewer. It really just with clay pipe, it happens over time. It's not uncommon. It can lead to problems though,
So this is saying that you found 109 total, or did you find like two of the miscellaneous water level, or 3 of the crack pipe? Is that what you're stating here on this?
Oh, no, sorry, I should have explained that. Those numbers on the side, the 2, 3, 2, 2.
Right.
Those are the severity scores. So for each one of these, we don't just write crack spiral, we write a number to go with it for the severity. So it's a 5, it's a really bad crack.
So what's it go, 1, 0, 10?
1 to 5.
1 to 5.
Yeah.
And the 109 stands for?
109.
Yeah.
That's what,
How much feet you scan?
Oh, that may be the manhole number? 109? Yeah, so if you look in the table there, the upstream manhole is numbered 109, and that ties to your GIS data. So we took all of this, the main point is to create your capital improvements plan. So like the gentleman was discussing, this is just for the sewer system. Most of our recommendations are either repairs or rehab to those gravity sewer lines where we found all the issues. We evaluated each one, looked at the camera footage, consulted with pipeliner installers, and selected which segments were suitable for trenchless rehab and which ones will need to be dug up and replaced. So the minor defects in general We recommended CIPP liner and a major defects replacement. And then to prioritize those, each segment received a risk score out of 10, which was a combination of a condition score, which is, that's the 0 to 5 scale, how bad it is. It's a little subjective, but you can you look at enough of them, you can tell, yeah, that one's a 5, and that one's like a 2. So we graded all of them out of 5 for their actual condition, and then the consequence of failure is basically how big of a deal, how costly, how impactful it would be if it had a catastrophic failure and had to be repaired in an emergency situation. So if it's under a really busy road, it receives a higher consequence of failure score. If it's a dead end road that only serves a couple of houses, maybe a little less. If it's in a field, it's not as big of a deal. Just a way to, really we needed to separate the CIPP that was recommended into 2 projects. We made it into a priority 1 CIPP rehab. Those are the really bad ones that are just good enough to do CIPP, but in really bad shape. The total cost we're estimating for those is $637,000. And then the priority 2, so that's everything that had, I think priority 1 was 8 or above on that combined 1 out of 10 score. And priority 2 was everything less than 8. And then listed there are the sections that just need to be replaced, and some of those are previous CIP projects as well. And then number 9 and 10, I always recommend that ongoing CCTV inspections happen as much as you can. If nothing else, when you're eligible for another of these AIE grants, apply for it and use it for additional CCTV. And then that necessitates that last line, because as you do more of these inspections, you're going to find more things that need to be rehabbed or repaired. So we estimated based on the age of the lines that hadn't been inspected and just the incidence rate that we saw with this inspection to try and estimate what your ultimate need will be for CIPP replacements. We came up with $447,000 a year. There's, without even seeing the inspections, that's just kind of a shot in the dark. And then last page.
Oh, I'm sorry, so your number 10 was $447,000 per year is what we would probably need to take care of all the issues.
Yes.
Okay.
I think I had it start, so I had it, if you look at the next page, I had that starting in fiscal year 29, and it's 522 because these costs are all escalated by 4% per year to account for inflation. So starting in fiscal year 29, I had 522,000 for that line item.
So this is not an accumulation. Back on the other plan, page, capital improvement plan, this is not is this an accumulation? This is the total of the 10 lines, right?
Yes. Yeah, that last one is the last 2 are kind of make this table confusing. I apologize because those are multi-year numbers. Everything above that is a one-time cost. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so we got the one-time cost 1 through 8, lines 1 through 8.
Correct.
And then the 447 was, that's multiple, for multiple years, but I can't understand. What I'm a little lost on is how many years is that for?
It's in here for, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7, because it goes to future years after the 10th year. And that's one that's kind of just a placeholder that a lot of towns do, because you know you're going to continue to, the ones that start a successful CIP program for their sewer, They'll do some CCTV inspections ongoing, because that's not an easy thing to do either. But as you do more CCTV inspections, you know you're gonna find more lines to rehab. So you kind of figure out how much you can do in a year successfully, and then that becomes your ongoing sewer rehab budget line until you get them all rehab.
This is 10 years.
10 years, yes.
10 years.
Any other questions on that? I'll do over one more slide, just next steps and recommendations. Yeah, obviously, initiate priority CIP projects as funding allows, so very timely for my predecessor tonight to be here. Explore funding opportunities. The public funding opportunities are what we mostly deal with for infrastructure projects, either the SRF loans, USDA, CDS, and then whatever future funding package comes out next, hopefully soon. But the key is to just keep your ears open for infrastructure funding opportunities. And then also continue to update the asset inventory and CIP as projects are completed, and we find more information. And then get the first. That's all I've got. I gave you each copies of the full report. It's I think it's very exciting reading.
How confident do you feel about the possible grants? Do you feel good about that, or?
So there are people who know more about the political climate than I do, but I know that it's always, funding like that is it changes from president to president, governor to governor, so just whatever they decide to spend money on.
Do you ever share, like you work with other towns and you see, wow, they just got a $2 million grant from this place? Do you share that information?
Oh, yes. Yes.
You can call and say, well, hey, they were able to get this grant, you all may want to look into.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, we're just throwing something, we'll put this in important context that you'll love. So Madam Mayor Pro Tem, when we just went into the most recent congressional appropriations process in Congress's office, I reached out to Matt and said, hey, we just cut a scope down on that South Ranlo water line because our budget came in like $2 million or $1.5 million over what it was. I said, can you do you have any resource or anything like that? And that sent me all the application info. We sent it over to Congressman Moore's office. The 14th congressional district got like 60 or 70 requests for funding for projects. They could only fund 20 of the whole 14th congressional district. We were selected as one of them for that project that Matt put us on. So the congressman mentioned it. Now, we still have a long way to go. I was going to mention it by town manager before. We still have to go to the congressional budget appropriations committees. The president's got to sign it. But we have, if the appropriations cycle goes through in FY27, $1.8 million coming from the congressman for water line projects. A lot of it thanks to this revenue.
Yeah, so we try. Infrastructure funding is how a lot of local governments think for infrastructure. So.
And for us to, if I may, Mr. Mayor, if I could add some more sense, for us to have this, and if all that's what's in that big binder, like the amount of work that went into this, and it was grant funded, is really, really something. Like we have just historically had to know, just all the institutional knowledge just lives in CJ's brain. Like he knows where all the pipes are, our staff knows where all the pipes are, but to have that written out, to be able to utilize it for GIS, to have it logged, this is just, I mean, it's worth its weight in gold. So thank you, Matt. This is a great project, and for it to be done, this is a really, really awesome thing.
Yeah, and my contact information is on the slides. If you, I know you'll
Yeah, and thank you for giving us,
Thank
for giving us a bigger maps to look at.
Yeah, there's some big ones in there.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's move on to item number 10, Town Hall and Police Station schematic vote on direction. Okay, so Charles sent us a big packet on that.
Yeah, I'm gonna walk us through that one.
Okay.
I'm plugged that on purpose, just for a quick second. I gotta go back and email and pull this up. I'll have everything pulled up by next week. Slideshow pulled up.
Just take half a second. Mr. Mayor. Charles, do we need to make a resolution on this?
Oh, yeah, Matt, do we need to adopt that, do we need to adopt that resolution?
Oh, yes, sorry.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Commissioner Moore.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'll make a motion to adopt a resolution for the project AIA-WARP-10146.
okay, second, okay, all in favor?
Like I said, that, half the that.
Commissioner?
All right, Mr. Mayor, I can take it from here if you'd like.
Yes, go
For
ahead.
this next one, I'm gonna put it back up on the screen, I think. So you have slides in front of you, but this is such a cool and exciting thing that I wanna make sure I have for the public to see it too, because this is not a staff project, this is not a board project, this is a public project, this is something that, the residents here and everybody who lives in town and business will get to enjoy for 70 more years. So, kind of where we are in the process for the conceptual design for town hall and police station. We've kind of worked with Mosley, our architect, for a number of months now, giving him information, giving him thoughts on kind of how we want to see things, you know, what kind of office space we were thinking, a rough estimate, kind of in pricing. We've kind of gone back and forth on that. And the good news is all this kind of parlays really well. We're talking to Davenport about now that we're kind of getting into some schematics, we can start talking about kind of financing. So what they have done for us, and which is really, really neat, is put together 3 conceptual designs. So like, we get to see something tonight, which is really cool. I will say, be aware of this. This is still your design. You very well could say, I hate all 3 of them. I don't think you will, but you could very well say, I don't like any of them. And throw them all out and start over. It's perfectly fine. You could say, I like this one, but I want to change this. I like this one, but I want to change that. It's still conceptual, but this is still kind of putting something together. So I'll just kind of walk through their slides. So what what Mosley has done for us is put at least just kind of 3 options together. And I'll talk quickly through it because I know we're already pushing 8 o'clock. So I learned a new word. The architectural motifs that they use are meant to be locally inspired. So the first one was meant to kind of look industrial, kind of like a school, so it kind of looks like Warlick, it kind of looks like some of our, and we'll go into each one so you'll see it specifically, kind of some of our smaller mills and single-story ones. The second one is meant to kind of reflect some of the residential architecture that kind of looks like some of the old mill village houses. And then the third one, which I will disclose ahead of time, I'm going to hype up the third one because I think it's my favorite. And they all are, I asked this question too, just about exactly the same price. They haven't told us what it is, but if it's not like one is more expensive than the other. And then the third one is meant to be reflective of like some of the windows that you see in some of the bigger mills, and then that tower, which is a really unique feature, number 3, which is meant to look like a fire tower up on the mountain. And one cool thing about the tower is that it'd be able to be illuminated. We can change colors like they do in the Empire State Building. I told you I'm going to be partial number 3, not partial number 3. But this board and the residents here get to weigh in. So what I'd be looking for tonight is, and this does not have to be a vote, what I'd be looking for tonight is the group to say, you know, hey, we're kind of thinking this number. And if the board can't get to a number, that's also perfectly fine. I can go back to our architects and say, we're still on the side. So design option 1, this is kind of the layout. And this is going to take a little bit to kind of talk through. Hopefully you can see my mouse. Okay, thank goodness. All right, so based on information that the board has given our developers, what it would look like essentially is this is town hall back here in the corner with secure parking in the back and then kind of an entrance up front. This is where the basketball court exists as it currently sits. I know we had talked about moving that to the park where the other park stuff is and then making that, you know, just a park essentially down here. So this would be the footprint of the building. Parking, this green area would be kind of just like a fun little plaza right on the corner where we can just have some green space. Mayor and board, you guys have talked about in a future phase having space for some retail or mixed-use development, so that's kind of what this is built for. And this would be like a cool little, you know, seating area. If this was like a sandwich shop or something, you can come have lunch right here and be a part of your municipal complex. And then one thing that they built out, that I know we had some resident concerns, I believe Apples is here, who had brought up honestly a fantastic point, which is we had talked about an amphitheater here, but that's such a specific use that it would likely sit, you know, idle, you know, 99% of its entire life. So that's just something, it's another space we could do something different with, but because the last time they had information from us, it was do an amphitheater, that's what they drew it. Still so much freedom here, there's almost so much freedom, we could even like start over if we wanted to. So here's what it would look like if you were a bird. So you obviously have the entrance there, there's these cool kind of monument pedestal, that one that says town hall, one that says police. if you walk in, one of the things that I said to the architects that's really important to me is I want it to be a very customer-friendly, easily like intuition space. So like if I'm a resident, I should be able to just walk in and get to all the things I need from just a couple steps. So that's exactly how it looks. So there would be one lobby where you get to the police side this way, you get to the council chambers by walking straight to that door, and you get to the town hall lobby to go pay your water bill on the left side. All of that's right there within one space. It's not confusing. We've had just confusing to our residents for the past 2 years with new systems, with moving. If we could just get consistent, I think I always say clear as time, that would be, I think, the best. So that's what number one looks like. Here's kind of the rear with secure parking. This is obviously some police area with a sally port that you can pull in and have an isolated area. This is what it would look like if you were driving up Spencer Mountain Road, and this is what it would look like if you were in our fancy little plaza that we're talking about. This is kind of what it looks like from that new access road, so kind of from the mixed-use development and potentially commercial retail space. Again, these cool little town hall and police things, I actually really like those. I think they're kind of modern and kind of neat, and it also delineates what side of the building you kind of go to. This is kind of what it would look like at the cross section. I had also pitched the idea, I think it would be super cool if when you walk in, that main lobby is kind of like a history room. So like I took the city of Ranlo signs off the old building before we knocked it down. We had some old bricks. Like we could do a really cool art installment, like have an accent wall, have somebody come and do a mural inside, tell the story, bring some old textile stuff in there, put some old bricks in there. So 7 years from now, that's a big deal. So that kind of main lobby would be like a communal kind of like just community spot where you can come in and kind of breathe in the history of Ranlo a little bit and be kind of an attraction in itself. So it's not just, I'm coming here to pay my bill, this community is kind of who I am. So that's one of my favorite parts of Sellersville. So option number 2, same kind of layout there as we keep rolling. This one is interesting, it's a lot smaller, if you will. Again, it's kind of meant to reflect some of the residential architecture kind of in town. You can see it's kind of got that low, it's got a tall roof, but it's definitely smaller. This is what the rear of the building looks like. This is what it looks like if you're driving up Spencer Mountain Road, or if you're at the fancy plaza. Here it is, kind of looking for that new access road, the retail space. I'm going fast, slow me down if you want to. Here's kind of that same look with those kind of monument pedestal, whatever we want to call them, out front. Transparently, if you want my opinion, this is kind of always favorite. I think it gives a little bit apartment complex, like pool building. That's kind of how I think, but feel free to disagree, I don't have a vote. And that's kind of the cross section from the inside. The cool thing about the steep roof there is that in the community room, so in the community room, we're gonna plan to have like a little, hopefully like a little kitchen and some areas where we can have meetings and bring community in, not just the council chambers. And if we have that steep roof, there'd be some wood and some beams up top. That would be kind of pretty. That is option number 2. And then option number 3, which I fully disclosed is my favorite. It's just, to me, it looks a lot more civic, a lot more professional. You can see it's a floor and a half here. So these nice tall windows in that lobby, there would just be so much natural light that came in. And then obviously this kind of tower feature that's meant to look exactly like the tower feature from the top of the mountain. So like if you're coming up Spencer Mountain Road, I mean, everybody's been up Spencer Mountain Road. When you're at the Baptist Church, you can see that corner, and you'd be able to see that tower from basically there. So I think it just has a real prominent look. It kind of sets itself apart. And like I said, it could be illuminated, and we can do gender reveals with that thing if we wanted to. Like it's just a really cool opportunity to change. You know, it's just, I don't know, you can tell I love it. I think it's just really neat. So when you walk into that main lobby, it will be just all open, a floor and a half of openness. To the left is town hall, to the right is the police station. Still have those kind of like little monument pedestal thingies, whatever you want to call them, kind of out front there. And then the cross section, same thing. You'd be able to walk into the council chamber / community room. But what's really neat about this, I wish it would pull up. It's thinking. Wants to. Is that the inside of that tower could be part of that like art installment. So we could have it just be really decorated and really neat here. So that's kind of what it would look like if we had something going on the inside. So that is 1, 2, and 3. As I mentioned earlier, they're all, because the first thing I asked was what's the price difference between them all? They said they're basically all exactly the same. I'm happy to answer any questions that this group has. I think one thing I'll mention for Commissioner Hill's sake, who's not here tonight, who was really passionate about Number 3 was the idea of, can we tell the developers, sorry, that's very flashy, when I go too fast here. Can we tell, not developers, can we tell the engineers to, instead of a square top on that tower, to have more of like a rotunda or a dome, like you would see on like the Capitol building, which also gives very civic feel and kind of, very, just civic would be the word, right? So instead of it kind of just be a block square, be like a rotunda, which could be kind of neat. So it's up to us. I think what the architects would be looking for would be some sort of direction from this board of, and it's okay, you can't get to it. If there's disagreement, that's fine. But like if the will of the board is, hey, we're all kind of leaning to 1 or 2 or 3, and I can go back to them and say, let's not delay anymore. This is kind of the one we're thinking. We can fine tune, but let's just pick sort of a direction.
I like 3.
I think 3 fits in more, or we're,
I think
we've
3.
got a lot of residents, we've got a lot of bills in town here. That kind of fits in with everything we have.
I mean, sure, I'll be willing to just hear some thoughts. So right over here, Ms.
We still have to do name and addresses because this is a public meeting, so if you speak, please give our clerk your name and address.
Jessica Holtzapfel, 2321 Sunset Drive. 3 is definitely the most visually interesting. Please stop.
Sorry. I'm listening. There.
So yeah, definitely 3 is the most visually interesting. My questions end up being, how efficient are the different ones, especially with that big community room? You know, it's nice to have your big vaulted ceilings. That's gotta be heated and cooled. And so that has to be taken into account with how that's gonna affect your HVAC. So.
I think all of them have a vaulted ceiling in it.
Yeah, to a certain extent, depending on the pitch roof. So we talk about operational costs for just about every single one. Make sure, like you said, if we had a 200,000 square foot building, it's gonna cost a lot of money to cool it. It's gonna be a lot of energy to cool it.
Some of the talk we had talked about previously was if there'd be a way, especially if there's a flat roof, if we could, put, I don't know, gardens, make a green roof on top, or have it where it's, citizens can get up on the roof for, like, when we're doing fireworks displays, or basically make the roof another accessible floor in some way. If it's flat, that would be a nice way to fully utilize the building. And then speaking of fully utilizing, just keeping in mind how to multi-purpose the building so that it's not a 9 to 5.
Yeah, and so one of the things that we did that's really cool in the community space, that's why they don't call it council chambers, is we have partitions put in, and a kitchen for community meetings, for any of our committee meetings, for if someone just wants to, we even talked about, like how some of our surrounding cities do, rent out like a hall space, if someone wants to have they could have a gathering here, right? It's gonna be such a brilliant building that could be another potential for use, not just for us who clock in and clock out, badge in, badge out. Use it to have a birthday party.
Very good. I'm gonna move on to the next one.
Yeah, okay, 1805 Andy Drive. In reference to any of the design, number 3 is great. In the community room, is there a platform stage that's built inside there, or is everything flat level where when you have a presentation, it's like the way we have the large chair?
It's a great question. The inside of that, so far what we've come up with is the only thing that will be elevated is the dais where the council will sit. Almost like how you see like Gaston County have their dais where the board sits. But that will be on one side of it. There will be 2 or 3 partitions to break that room out. It won't be like a stage. But if the board says, hey, let's make it a multi-use space, and let's make it into a concert venue, then
That's a concert thing, but what I was thinking is if you have any type of a ceremony or presentation, instead of being level on an equal level floor, you have a presentation with people who come up to stage with the attendees and the recipients. And people that's sitting down can see the presentation versus all street level.
And our clerk's taking notes of all this stuff, so we can always bring this stuff back to our architect.
That's a good idea. One more person if you have it. Okay, yes.
Diane Palmer, 3205 Bentley Court. I also like option 3 as well, and the idea of doing something a little bit different on the tower versus flat. I think it's a good idea. It would give it a little more character.
Very good.
I think on Apple's, suggestion about public getting on the roof, that had to be an insurance question there, 'cause
There
I
has
was
to be a lot,
thinking the same
there
thing.
has to be some planning on the building too, obviously.
I think it could be dangerous.
yeah.
And I don't know if they designed it where they need access, that's not.
Right.
Because I mean, if it's gonna be ADA, or we're talking elevators, is there a ramp, there's a lot that would have to be. But if the board says, you know what, that would be a cool spot to watch fireworks, let's plan it, then we have to just plan it. And everything comes with cost, every time we add a new feature, that's ching, ching, ching.
Yeah, those are all great ideas. So we kind of made the vote, do we need to make it official?
As long, because nothing is in stone yet, like, so like next week, you come back and say, you know what, I thought about it, I hate 3, I like 1. So as long as you give me a straw poll, just like, are we all nod along with 3, is that kind of what we're
I
thinking?
think all of us moving toward 3, everybody.
Because if it was split, then we'd probably want to take a vote, but if
Yeah.
everybody's just like 3, then I'll just go back and tell our architects,
Just to keep the ball rolling.
just to, yeah, otherwise it's all.
Whatever's going on.
And make sure they get rid of that amphitheater. I think we want to put it over here, like, Zappos may do.
Yeah, and we were planning on phasing all this out anyways, right? So like phase 1 is just this kind of.
Yeah, and I think it's okay with the board, but possibly with the amphitheater, more retail shops. Right.
That could be, that'll be down the road anyways, so.
Yeah.
All right, but that's all for this one, I'll go back and tell them.
Not quite down the road, because we're gonna start looking for partnerships.
Sure. In fact, we've already started.
Going down the road. Going down the road.
Going down the road?
Going down the road. He said far down the road, I said going down the road.
Ah, gotcha. Okay, so let's move on to item, number 11, committee updates. Committee updates, and guys, I'm sorry, this is going a little long, we're gonna give you 5 minutes, but we're gonna have to go 3 minutes on the updates. So let's, Commissioner Hill, you on? You can go ahead and start. Let me, let her speak out here.
I'm the committee chair of all there, so whenever anyone is ready.
Okay, so you can just call out the committees, they can hear you. Yes. Okay, the resource committee, resource network committee is going first.
Good evening, everyone. I am Shardina Stephanie Cox, 217 Summer Road, and I am the chair for Ranlo Resource Network Committee. We have an update today. No changes with the committee members or appointments there. We have our first initiative is the summer feeding program. So we are on track to have meal service provided for the kids for this summer, where we'll have a van coming to a undecided location. At this point, we're still in the works. And then they'll provide meals daily for the kids. So this is part of collaboration with Gaston County School Systems. It's for the kids who normally have their main meals at school and where they're making some needs in the community. So we'll have that. That is something that's going on in the county around Ranlo, but not coming into our town. So the purpose of our committee is to bring the resources that are already available into Ranlo. So that's one of our first initiatives, and we are on track to have that for this summer.
You don't have a start date yet?
No, we don't have a start date yet. So we are working with Charlie, and it's Public Works with city employees.
Yeah, so we sent two to train, to be able to basically be a host site. But we were talking earlier today about that basically when they bring the van to be able to just serve there. And I think, we're kind of rushing over because we only have 3 minutes.
No,
This
let's-
is
let's
an outstanding.
Go 5.
This is an outstanding thing. Like, a long time ago, I used to be a vice principal at a Title I school, and I've seen firsthand, summer break doesn't always mean, because summer break could mean, now I'm not sure where my next meal is coming from. So to have something like this where children under 18 can come get a meal throughout the summer here in Ranlo was an outstanding accomplishment. So that's great on top of it.
Yes. And then for our next initiative, we are working for a health fair that will be tentatively spring of 2027. We have a medical group coming to speak to our committee on May the 20th. That's our next committee meeting. And then we will listen to their pitch, and then we'll take everything into consideration and see if we want to use them so that we can have a health fair in spring of 2027. So that's the other thing that we are working on. We also made an update to our committee meetings. On the last update, I announced that we would have 2 meetings per month. It would have been the first and third Wednesday. We have reduced that to 1 meeting per month, and it's going to be third Wednesday, 6:30 here at the lodge. So on our meeting focus for the May 20th meeting, we'll be elaborating on the summer feeding plan, making sure that everything is in place for that, and if there's any additional resources for volunteers needed or anything of that nature. And we'll also be focusing on the health fair. Our proposed agenda for our next meeting, we'll have our welcome and opening remarks, the provider health fair presentation, elaboration on the summer feeding plan, open discussion and additional items in our next step. We'll also be looking into putting some type of classes in place for the community. We want to have something that's going to be like on a monthly recurring basis, and not necessarily the same thing every month, but maybe if we have like a mental health series where we'll have different agencies come in and have information for them and activities for mental health and just engage the community in that. Also thinking about having other items for the children, having people come and talk to them about cyberbullying, bullying in school, and internet safety and security and things of that nature. So that's where we are with our updates on the Ranlo Resource Network.
That is fantastic.
Yeah,
Very good.
awesome. Good
I'd
job.
like to share something with you. I posted today on Ranlo Chatter where the Worland YMCA is doing free swim lessons for the kids. I posted on the Ranlo Chatter, so that might be something you might want to, I can share it with you to get that out there, that they're having this free swim lesson for kids this summer.
We definitely can. So I think what we can do, we also, I don't know how I missed our newsletter. So we were able to publish our first newsletter to go out with the most recent utility bill. So the residents should have that. We included information for just things that people don't know about. 211, parking for families that live in their car and things like that. And we haven't decided the frequency of the newsletter. It may be monthly, it may be quarterly, but right now we're gathering information to see how frequently we need to publish that newsletter. But that's going to be one means of communicating things to the community. We are also going to get with our social media manager and make sure that our items are published onto Ranlo's Facebook page. And then from there, we can officially share those to groups, other public groups and things like that. But versus sharing it as an individual, we want to share it as Ranlo.
That's great.
And then also for the feeding program, I'm gonna talk to Charlie about making sure that we get that information highlighted on the marquee, on the website, on the Facebook page, everywhere that we can, because this is crunch time. It was kind of like a last minute option that we had, and still able to pull it off very last minute. But we want to make sure that everybody knows that that's going to be available, and maybe that'll ease some of the tension in some of the homes about what they're going to be able to do this summer.
Okay, thank you so much.
Any more questions?
That's great.
I think we're good. We're gonna move on. That's awesome. Sorry we're rushing you through,
Oh,
but
you're fine.
that was awesome. And you was within good time. So the next meeting will come up. Mr. Drew? Warren? I said it wrong again, right?
What? No comment. Hello, my name is Drew Horine.
All right, that's all right.
I live at 1616 Allegheny Drive. I am the chairperson of the Ranlo Experience Committee. So first I want to say that I appreciate the opportunity to help serve the town through the Experience Committee. This committee is still very new, but the people involved care deeply about Ranlo. And we are working hard to get our arms around the event calendar, the budget, and the expectations for the year ahead. Over the past few weeks, we have been looking closely at the events already on the calendar and trying to determine what it will actually take to produce them well. Our goal is simple. We want Ranlo events to feel organized, welcoming, and worth showing up for. We want residents to be proud of what's happening here, and we want people from outside Ranlo to see the momentum that the town is building. That said, we are facing some immediate challenges. We were informed of the remaining event budget on May 5th, just last week. That budget was $1,200. At this point, the board has tasked the committee with helping produce events, but we have very limited available funding for the events directly in front of us. Friday's Milltown Night is a good example. We are moving forward with the event, and we are grateful to everyone helping make that happen, but because there was no prior booking, planning, or deposit work completed before this committee was formed, and because the remaining budget is so limited, Friday's event will not include live music, a DJ, inflatables, games, or other events for the kids. It will have vendors, it will have food, it will have bingo, and hot dogs and drinks and chips for the seniors. But this is not the kind of experience we ultimately want to build. It is simply the reality of where we're starting. We also still do not have an itemized report showing what was spent on previous events. That makes it difficult to know what past events actually cost, what funds were used for, or what we should treat as a realistic historical baseline. So in plain language, we're building a plane while we fly it, and right now we're doing that with only part of the map, but we're still moving forward. For the remainder of the current fiscal year, we are asking for an additional $5,000 to be allocated towards the event budget. This would give us enough room to stabilize the remaining event schedule, make practical decisions, and add basic event elements where possible. Looking ahead to fiscal year 2026-27, we have prepared an estimated annual budget based on the full event calendar and on real research into what these items cost. We are not trying to create a wish list. We're trying to give the board a realistic planning number for the kind of public events Ranlo has said it wants to provide. The proposed $80,000 event allocation for fiscal year 26-27 includes estimates for events such as Milltown Nights, National Night Out, Fall Festival, Faith in Blue, and Senior Thanksgiving Lunch, the Toy Run, the Christmas Parade, and other community events. Some of the larger cost drivers include things like fireworks, float rentals for the Christmas parade, carnival rides or attractions for the Fall Festival. Those are the kind of features that help turn an event into something memorable. But they also require planning, deposits, and a realistic budget. We have also included live entertainment in the budget. But I want to be clear that those numbers are still very lean compared to what other municipalities often spend on live music. And they also don't include separate sound or lighting in those budgets. And I can tell you from my experience on Gastonia's concert committee, that's usually pretty costly, so finding bands that have their own sound equipment is going to be a necessity. But my belief is that we can still make that work by leaning into local talent, especially performers who can bring their own sound equipment or who would be excited to be a part of Ranlo's events. This request is not about spending money just to spend money. It's about planning responsibly. When we have a clear budget and enough lead time, we can book earlier, make deposits on time, communicate better with vendors, avoid last-minute scrambling, and create events that feel intentional instead of thrown together. Ranlo is growing. We are adapting. We are preparing for more growth. And community events are one of the most visible ways that residents experience that progress. They bring neighbors together, they give families something positive to do close to home, and they help shape the way people feel about this town. The Experience Committee wants to help build that kind of momentum. We want these events to reflect a town that is proud of where it has been and confident about where it's going. With that in mind, The committee is requesting an additional $5,000 for the remainder of the current fiscal year, and a total event allocation of $80,000 for fiscal year 2026-27. I appreciate your consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
What was our budget last year?
50,000 for the events.
For the year?
So it's a $30,000.
And we were informed on the 5th of this month that there was $1,200 left of that budget.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, and Jimmy's not here to answer the question, but maybe Ralph can. Now, don't the police department or that department, committee take care of, National Night Out and Faith in Blue?
Ralph, I can answer that if you want. That gets billed out of a separate area. So the police do all totally self-sustaining. If I'm missing this, you tell me that. All essentially self-operating projects. So like in the Faith in Blue, if there's like the calendar, if there's like the rock wall that came out, they get sponsors. Like the Carolina Throat Trail sponsored the rock wall last year. And we'll get whoever, the sheriff or somebody else, not sheriff, but somebody else will sponsor, I was trying to think of it, the state distributors will sponsor the train ride or whatever it may be, right? So the police events, they would have it within their own police budget if they need to expend anything for their events. They offset it completely different. This is from the Parks and Recreation expenditure or account where the event supplies that do not include those as well.
And as I mentioned, we do not yet have an itemized report of what was spent on events in the past, but you will notice on the spreadsheet here, those events that are managed by the police and public safety are the smallest numbers on the chart. So we were just accounting for if we need to do things for those events.
Our events are free of charge still.
That's correct.
Now, is there some money from one account that could be changed over for a little leeway for May and June?
It would be Robin and Peter kind of situation. Like it would have to come from like a police budget. I would recommend no. That's not saying don't fund it. What I'm saying is it's May 14th, we're less than 15 days away from a freeze in our fiscal year ends June 30th. What this board could do is say for the one-time appropriation we could do a budget amendment and say, let's commit $5,000 out of fund balance because it's a one-time cost that we want to do, and give it to the committee. We could do a budget amendment and put 5 more, correct me if I'm wrong here, Adam, put 5 more into the event supplies, and then what the board would do to consider for the $80,000 for the future request, we're going to talk about budget next agenda item. I didn't see this request prior to putting together the recommended budget, so it's not reflected in it, because this is the first time we're all seeing it. But if the board says this is a priority, then before the June budget hearing or before the next budget workshop, if the board said, hey, let's see if we can find $30,000 more and put it in there, then I'll check.
So really, you're talking about funding, you're saying you put the 5,000 in, but you're taking it from next year's budget.
No, I'm sorry. What I'm saying is it would be just about impossible to find an operating right now. What this board could do as a tool to say, this is a one-time appropriation, you could use some fund balance, use some savings, and would just come back in the June board meeting, it would have to, as a budget amendment, to just add $5,000 more to that projected revenue and expenditure to give them to float basically June. But if there's a change in the line item for the next year, like if event supplies is going to go from 50 to 80, that's not in the proposed budget because we're seeing this now, that would be something that we'd have to talk about. Is that what the board wants to put into the budget? That would be all decision.
Would the 5,000 help for June? Because
that's the main thing that I'm really concerned about. And honestly, the July Milltown nights, we're trying to book fireworks, and the fireworks vendor that we've used in the past is available on that date, but they do require a 50% deposit, and it's a $12,000 expenditure. Mr. Morton feels confident that we can talk to them and let them know that we would be able to pay that deposit once our spending freeze is lifted at the end of June, and put it into the next year's budget. So I can talk to the vendor for that. The money for the June Milltown nights, well, I'll just go to May. May, the only thing that we're actually spending money on is the food for the senior hot dog lunch, or dinner. But we don't have any live music, we don't really have any activities other than vendors that are going to be there. And somebody's probably gonna hook up a speaker and play music off of their iPhone. By somebody that probably is me. And it's probably not gonna be very loud. June is also on Juneteenth. And this is something that we have been really focused on, trying to have an actual Juneteenth celebration. And things that we put into the budget were a DJ, some live entertainment, some inflatables for the kids. You'll notice further in the budget, the Fall Festival rides budget is much, much larger, because it's not just inflatables, it's carnival rides. That's one area that if we had to, we could cut back. But anyway, going on through June though, we looked at just things that would invite the family in, and things that would help people to want to be a part of it. Now, we're also trying to get groups to come in for free for some of the entertainment and all that, but we have not had those commitments yet.
I have a question. So your partnership with Ms. Tasha White with her Juneteenth, have you been able to coordinate what she wants to bring into Ranlo with what you would like to see?
Ms. White's event is on June 13th.
June 13th.
And it is, technically it's considered a third-party private event. It's not considered a town of Ranlo event. Because, she's a private organization, she'd come in and she's having her event on that specific date. While our Milltown night is actually on the official Juneteenth, she's actually having another event in Gastonia on that night.
Is that gonna hamper that this year?
Honestly, I don't know, because I don't know if people from the town of Ranlo are going to Gastonia for that. We don't have the experience to be able to gauge whether that would be an issue. Yeah, our committee's a month and a half old, so.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moran. I'm gonna have to move it along. Is any other committee chairs here? Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening, attendees and board members. On behalf of the Ranlo Police Safety Committee, my name is Darryl Hayes. I'm the chairperson of the committee. The chief, Jimmy, wasn't able to come to the meeting tonight, but the first thing he asked me to address was National Night Out. On the first slide that came out on National Night Out, there wasn't a rain date listed, and we made an adjustment on that flyer. And the rain date is listed for August 11th. From 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. it's going to stay the same hours. And that's originally date was Tuesday, August 4th. So it'll come out publicly 24 hours or before if it looks like it's going to be inclement weather, where it'll change the date. In reference to the Ranlo Night Out, we're seeking volunteers 18 years and older to help on National Night Out. Specifically, with some of the vendors working, there's a water dunking thing. He wants an 18-year-old there. So when the ball goes in, the person is 18 for insurance purposes and safety purposes. I was elected to the chair position on our first meeting when we was trying to get the attendees together, and that was held on April 27th of 2026. We tried to put together a whole committee, and we're still short 2 committee members. So if there's anybody that, I don't know if anybody announced it yet, or if anybody came forward, we're still committee short. I also had a discussion last night. Originally, when we set the committee up, we discussed maybe possibility of changing it from the Ranlo Police Committee, Safety Committee, to the Ranlo Police Foundation. And amongst ourselves and some other members, we discussed the reason being that under the police foundation, you'd be able to apply for 501c. That 501c will allow us to be able to get grants that's outside of government-issued grants, allowing us to be able to have fundraisers where this could be turned over to help the police department with training, equipment, exploratory committees to better get them trained in first responder techniques, active shooters, first aid, a whole lot of different things that they can't do with the current budget. So having a foundation will allow us to use our resources to help them get funds and grants to go forward. Secondly, I'd like to bring up the conflict that we had on schedule this past Tuesday. Originally, when we started the committee, we said we would take the second Tuesday at 7 p.m. and then we had a conflict where we had to use the firehouse. And that turned into a little disaster because some of us was outside the firehouse at the main place where we normally would be for the Christmas event. They were behind the firehouse waiting for us to come that way, and nobody communicated. So we had no public people there, and we didn't have enough for a quorum. So we just had a brief discussion going forward to try to establish the exact date and time that won't be a conflict that we're gonna use this building, or do we have to change? And when I asked the planning committee, they said they wanted to lock in on Tuesday, so I don't know if it's available.
Yeah, so that's why I sent that email out to all the chairs, copied all the chairs, I need all of your meeting times and all of your meeting dates, so that they don't conflict, and if there is one, we get to just work it out between, we can book a place for you, we have a community building, we have a lodge, it's up to you to decide your cadence and where you want to go, and we'll say, hey, the building is free, it's not free.
So one of my issues is that a lot of the people that's on this committee are active workers in public safety. So if an alarm goes off or they have to go, like this son, that will knock the quorum down where we can't do certain things.
So you can still meet, you can still talk, you just can't take like an official votes, like you can say, all right, let's have a vote on, you can still talk about initiative, you can talk about whatever you want. It just can't be a vote that then comes to this board at that.
That's correct. Yeah. Also, we're having a meeting amongst ourselves with the Gaston Police Foundation Committee to see how they establish their foundation going forward, because when we had the initial discussion with them, they felt that that would be the right way to do it. Whereas we're limited on one part under the Police Safety Committee, but under the foundation, it opens up a whole bunch of doors for us and a whole bunch of opportunities that we could better serve the Ranlo Police Department. I'll take any questions if there are any.
Awesome, but by just having that foundation in the name, that's what allows you to get the grant or what?
Yes, and also, after speaking with Charlie, it also gives us an accountant that will be able to sit down and we'll have a way of taking in money with the accountant and working with the board to make sure that the funds, like when you have a foundation, if somebody says here's $100,000, but we wanted to go to a specific area, that money has to go to that area. We can't divert it to, all right, well, it was going to get for police safety equipment and say we're going to do something else with it. So with the foundation, that's how it will be established, that any money coming in specifically for anything, it goes to that. It can't be diverted and be used for other sources. But we also have a way of sending out a formal letter seeking in scholarship funds, grants, and money.
Awesome.
Any other questions?
When are you
Okay.
planning to meet again? When's your next meeting?
Please.
When is your next meeting?
Well, that's what I'm gonna find out with Charlie, because we gotta work that out tonight. He said that we're gonna work it out so I can send it out. Oh, Charlie, one last thing. I was told that you were gonna be sending out the emails for each individual.
Yeah, well, we have to go through the budget process of getting more, essentially, Microsoft accounts, because we've had our max on that. So essentially, when we get to the new budget year, everybody who's on the committee can have a Ranlo account. Some board members have gone through and made like a quasi Ranlo
I saw that.
email. I think Mr. Oron's done that. That will suffice, but to have official ones, we need another budget amendment to do that. Since we're so close to this year, we're still needing to do it.
All right.
July 1.
And if you could also forward the minutes from the, you get 426? All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So, let's move on to item number 12, appointment of positions to committees. Do we have anybody that is seeking to join any of the committees, available committees? Anybody here? Okay, so let's move on to item number 13. Presentation of the draft recommended budget fiscal 26-27. Discussion on the next budget workshop. Charlie?
Yes, sir. So I'll just quickly go through it, knowing that it is 8:45. We have a couple things to just go through. So tonight, in the grand scheme of things, is when you'll see the first proposed budget, which is information that the board has essentially given me from all the budget workshops, kind of our internal look at years past and our budget actuals and what we're actually seeing money-wise and kind of our very, 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 I'll call it conservative budget that we're putting forward. I mentioned last meeting, you know, whether it be inflation or the conflicts in Iran or you name it. I mean, like there's instability, costs are higher, the cost of gas is obviously crazy high. And think about it, our operations on wheels, our garbage trucks, our police cars, you name it, our fleet is on wheels. So a lot of those things go into kind of what drives our projections. We obviously went to a regional economic forecasting seminar that kind of said what we had also thought, which was they weren't expecting sales prices to surge and everybody's, you know, going and blowing a whole lot of money and on necessarily sales tax. And we wouldn't necessarily see a huge jump in any other, like it's not a revaluation year county or anything like that. So it's a pretty conservative budget. So what I'll do is just kind of walk through it quickly, and then we'll talk about kind of next steps. What we'll need at the end of this is the board can decide, we have put on the calendar to hold May 20th as another budget workshop. If the board wants to do that, then we can say, all right, cool, we'll do it. If the board says, no, we're good, let's get to the June meeting and have the budget hearing, we can do that as well. So
I won't be here on the 20th.
and we can always change it. That's just a tentative date that we put together. So the contents of this is the budget schedule timeline. So that is what we've done this whole entire year. You have all of this in your packet. It's in the budget. It's exactly the same. I have it up there so that the people here in the public can see. That shows that back in February, really it starts kind of October, November, we start looking at the next fiscal year. So in this budget, there is no major increases to any expenditures. There's no new positions. There's one part-time position. I know this board had talked about a grant writer, since we have a lot of different projects, we have a lot of different capital needs, we have a lot of different potential avenues where money, as Commissioner Hill would say, money's out there, and we just gotta find it, right? So what we had put in, or what I had put in, is essentially a part-time grant writer position that would be kind of like a 20-hour-a-week position, maybe even less than that, that could come in and serve all the different town departments and just solely focus on finding funding. And then if we were to eventually, you know, if it comes around to, you know, we could find some intern program or something kind of like we did with the League for North Carolina Fellowship Program, that could even save us some expenditures there. So the recommended budget is balanced, which is a North Carolina general statute of $5,674,100. It includes a general fund budget of $3,501,615, a utility fund budget, which is water and sewer, of $2,021,485, a Powell bill fund budget of $91,000, and stormwater fund of $60,000. It's important to note that as the board directed me, I did not make any change to the current tax rate, which still sits at 45 cents per $100 of assessed value. I think what this is exciting, and I won't read it verbatim, this is going to be available to the public after tonight's meeting. It'll be on the website, it'll be at our town hall. I just kind of have a quick narrative there that kind of shows that what we're doing here is we're demonstrating that we're trying to think about responsible stewardship of our money, now leveraging some of these funds that we've gotten and thinking about future projects, trying to focus on capital improvements and capital plans. We've had two presentations tonight, one from a financial advisor, one from our wastewater, all talking about capital improvement plans. All these things are kind of built into here, and I'm very proud to present it to you. So on this page, which is page 5, it's kind of a breakdown of the budget overview and departments by expenditures. The kind of theme that I've got this year is progress with purpose. I think it's because I've always been a momentum guy since I started here, because we've had a lot of, you know, when I walked in, you know, we had basically $13 million worth of project. Well, the good news is we're rolling through this. So I think the idea now is to keep that progress going, but we're trying to take that shift into we've done a successful job of growing our financial stewardship. Now let's be purposeful in leveraging that to deliver to our residents. So I think that's what's so exciting about this budget. So I won't read it because I think we're already over time and everybody can take their own time to read it. One thing that is important to know that is never fun to discuss and it brings me zero joy, and it's not something that I'm in charge of, it's something that this board discusses, is that obviously the Two Rivers utility has increased their utility costs for water and sewer. They've gone up 7.5% on water, 7.5% on sewer. That's going to be effective July 1st. The good news is we were able to do a rate study, which means, because it's not just apples to apples, and I say this all the time, but I think it's important that we say it out loud. It's not just apples to apples where if they go up 7.5, we go 7.5. Our base of customer, if we went up 7.5, it could unintentionally generate too much revenue based on our specific type of customer. For example, the vast majority of our customers are 0 to 3,000 gallon users. If we went up 7.5, it would actually generate too much revenue. So that's why in previous meetings, I've had that sheet where it shows if we did 2.5%, this is what we were running a deficit. If we did 0, and I think it's important to know, and I think I wrote it in here, that if the board decided to make no change, if the board just said, you know what, I'm not doing this, we're not raising any of our water and sewer rates, at the end of 3 years, the utility fund will be operating at a $1.3 million deficit. But I say this jokingly, we wouldn't even get to that point because the state legislature would come in and would basically be like, you can't run a town. And I would have to find a job. So that's why I'm here, is to give you the information you need to make a good decision. So we found that, I'm giving you a long answer, but we found that a 5% increase to water and to sewer based on the actual study on our actual customers and our previous financial audits, that a 5%, one to water, one to sewer, can get us where we are running as lean as we possibly can. So we're not just sitting on piles of money, which for the record, we don't have a utility fund, but it's enough to offset the new expenditure, right? That's why it's so different, so unique is because in the utility fund, we know that our expenditures are going to go up, so we have to generate enough revenue to offset. It's actually a state statute that it has to be its own self-sustaining fund, and that's why that has to happen. So there is a proposed 5% to water and 5% to sewer. Hopefully me blabbing on for 10 minutes at least provides a little context on why, not just because it's like, wow, that's making a bunch of money. That's the exact opposite. It pains me to do it. I did it my first year here, 2 months in. I had to bring to the board the science and the numbers, which showed that a rate increase was necessary, but that's why you hired me, is to help give you good numbers and judgment. So all that, the progress, the purpose is before you, as kind of listed here. So we're required to put together a budget ordinance, which essentially just lists out our revenue projections. We are still very conservative in our revenue projections and our expenditure projections, right? Which is something that we've been good at. It's why we've been able to grow our fund balance. We don't say, we don't say how much. We really want to buy this thing, so how can we make it seem like we're going to get this much money by the end of the year, because then that's not going to add up, we're going to be at a deficit, right? We're the exact opposite. So in the budget ordinance, it lists all of our appropriated funds from the general fund, the utility fund, and it just shows you in accordance with state statutes that it is a balanced budget at that 45 cents per $100 assessed value. And then one thing that I'm also proud that we do, we're not required to do this, but I believe in good government, and I think this is the case of that. The state only requires a department-based budget. I provide a line item budget. This is not something that everybody does. I want everybody to see where every single penny is going. And that's exactly what's listed in these last 15 pages. Every single one of our departments, every single one of our expenditures, all the way down to postage. So you name it, I got it in there. So some key highlights, I think I mentioned, police we have a new K-9, which is very exciting. We're going to be swearing a new K-9 officer in next month. So a little bit had to go into that. I know Commissioner Moore talked about potentially some debt service that we can pay off, so I think we'll get to that in a little bit. But it's really kind of a boring budget, which I think is a good thing when it kind of comes to government. It should be kind of boring because we know that we're posturing ourselves for large capital expenditures in the future. So my goal is not to get us where we're stretching out our operating as thin as we can get it, knowing that we may have to leverage some operating funds in the next essentially 12 months and future years. So it's probably the most boring one I've put together, but that's, like I said, I think that's kind of a good thing, and that news is good news. I am happy to answer any questions that you have. But that's kind of as it's presented. What I'd be looking for, not necessarily vote tonight unless we're just feeling crazy. What I would look for tonight is if the board wants to have another budget workshop where we can talk through even more details. And then what absolutely needs to happen is the board would need to vote to set the public hearing for the June board meeting, so that at the June board meeting, you have a public hearing for the budget and then a theory vote to adopt.
Charlie, I got a question. Speaking of the debt payoff, I think you talked, we're going to next year over $176,000 in debt, right?
That's correct. That's our only debt that we have is our installment payment. Now, I shouldn't say our only debt because we have kind of like the non-installments were like our liabilities, if you will, right? Like
But this is the long-
compensatory time.
These are vehicle loans, correct?
This is an installment. It's yeah.
Okay, I would like to see us, take that out of the, savings account, the 4.6 million we got to pay off that debt. That way we're going to next year with no debt as far as loans, and take the money we save off the interest, everything, put it towards the down payment on the town hall, if we have to finance next, we have to finance next year.
Sure. And I think we had leveraged that, I think 2 years ago, we came into the end of the fiscal year knowing that we were sitting not at a deficit, sitting at a profit, or not a profit, just not a loss, if you will. And we had made this decision to leverage some of those year-end monies to pay down some debt and go into the next fiscal year without some of it saves the taxpayer interest money over the long term, and any chance to get rid of debt service is a good one. So if that's something that this board wants to do, that would, you don't necessarily have to vote to approve the expenditure, you would have to vote to approve the budget amendment that approves the expenditure. And what I mean by that is, if you say, I would still appreciate a vote, because I could go out and pay it today, but you're still gonna have a budget amendment come in front of you, and that would be the one that has to pass that requires a vote. If that makes sense.
And that'd be in June, correct?
It would have to be.
Right.
Okay.
And I got one more question, John. The Public Works requested 2 pickup trucks to be put in this budget. I make a motion, well, let me ask the question first. Will these be bought out of, will they be used for like, roads and streets and everything else?
How it works set up, we do it all, so.
So it'd be considered a POW bill?
Yes.
So I'd like to make a motion to purchase the 2 pickup trucks out of the POW bill money.
How much money are we talking about?
It's $100,000, $49,000 for a pickup truck, that's why I presented to the board. Two workshops, yeah. I'd like to make a motion to put that, and I'd also like to bring up the plow truck, used for snow, straighten roads. That truck is the old Dodge truck that tore up, that's checking it off, and wouldn't start.
Is it still running?
Yeah.
The plow truck?
So I wanna wait until December when we get 5 foot of snow for some reason we ever get that, but if we ever did, now we're sitting lame ducks again, like, oh, we gotta go to the wall or Mount Holly and borrow a truck. So I'd like to appropriate no more than $50,000 to look for a good used vehicle to use for that plow truck.
And in theory, out of PAL bill.
Out of PAL bill also, right?
State money that.
How much we have in PAL bill?
We have around 800, actually, I can tell you the exact numbers in the financial report.
So we can use POW bill money for that?
You absolutely can, and
For
that's
all
money that.
3 or just one?
In theory, all 3 if you wanted to.
All 3?
So right now, sitting in the PAL bill fund balance, it's in the capital management trust account that makes 5.7% interest. It has $738,881.
I'd like to put that up for motion also.
Is this for tonight? Is this?
It's whatever the board wants to do, you can vote.
Now, these trucks we gotta wait on, the 2 new ones, or they got on the lots, or what?
One is on the lot and one is being built. Depending on what you want and how quickly I can get him an answer depending how.
My question is, I don't wanna be like the ones we bought previous years, we had to wait 2 years to get the truck.
No, these are, one's on the lot and one's coming off this line from what I was told today.
Okay, so, I'll make a motion to do it tomorrow.
Okay, so let's just.
That has to be a agenda item, doesn't it?
Okay. What's the motion, just so that everybody's clear, to make sure our clerk got it too?
The first one, I don't know if you just said you didn't vote on it or not, was the $176,000 debt.
So that 176,000 that we have an outstanding principal, which may actually be a little bit less now, because that was from previous. audit.
Whatever my vehicle debt is, to pay it off now, instead of paying interest on it and everything else rolling into a new year.
And to pay it out of essentially fund balance, and knowing that the money that we're in the good on now will essentially just go back to certain payments that come July 1st. That's your motion. Did you get that?
Is this something that we need to do tonight?
I mean,
Is this a decision that we need to?
we can probably pay off the police cars in June. I mean, we got this assumption in June, but
Police are up on every one.
yeah, but the vehicles that he's requesting, he said they have them on a lot, and one's getting ready to be delivered to the lot and been built. If we don't secure them vehicles there they got, then we're waiting another 2 years. We're gonna vote to buy vehicles and wait 2 years to get them. We're gonna bill them on whatever, a year or 2 years to get them, the bill time, so.
It takes that long to get a truck,
Here lately it does.
huh?
It does here
It
lately.
takes 3 or 4 years to work hard now.
Well,
Let's go ahead and,
can we do this, does this have to be
yeah.
done tonight? Can we do this in our budget
You
meeting?
can do whatever you want.
What's the possibility of missing, if we do it next month, is that gonna cause us?
I don't have a question for it. Will he hold the trucks or?
He can, I've already lost 2, and luckily was able to get, he's holding them just, he can hold them for about a week.
My suggestion is to possibly go ahead and do the trucks tonight and the other, other things we do.
In June, yeah, I'm fine with that.
So what are we doing now?
Purchasing the 2 pickup trucks.
We don't have the trucks now.
We don't have, we want to purchase them.
So what are we doing now as far as, what are we using now for,
They're ones that
Trash
keep dumping
and stuff.
money in. It's not trash trucks, it's, public works trucks.
and
The
they're,
old Dodges that we bought,
and they're bad?
yeah, they keep dumping money in the maintenance on them every time they have to run them, so.
Okay, this is what you brought up in our last meeting.
Yeah, correct.
I think you brought it
I brought it up in a budget.
about
our
one of
first
the
budget.
trucks, okay.
I make a motion, we go ahead and approve the money to buy the 2 new pickup trucks and no more than 50,000 for a new, used truck for a plow truck out of Powellville.
What about paying off the debt?
We're gonna do it in June to
Oh, in
make things go
June,
fast.
okay.
Out of the fund balance, right?
Yes.
Not out of the operating. Did you have a question?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead and speak. For the, if you want to pay them off in June, I would need a motion or a vote to be able to get the payoff quotes. And those only hold for so long. So if you're
For the
wanting to
debt?
do June, yeah, if you're wanting to do June, then it would be till July.
We're gonna come out and do those. I'll make a motion,
It's just a long process to get the.
if we take it out of savings account,
Yeah. Either way, if you do it this year or next year, it's coming out of the savings account. But if you're wanting to pay it off in June, I would need to start the process now. Is all I'm.
so we did a consensus, we're gonna start the process, because we're gonna go for June.
Yes, just knowing that I'll have the exact amount in June,
That
and
was a lot.
if we don't vote on
Okay,
that
so
in
it sounds like we gotta
June.
vote on it. So let's go ahead and make the motion.
I'll make a motion, we,
With the one.
pay the 176 off, or whatever the remaining balance of the debt is off for vehicles.
Let's do this, because I think we kind of technically had 2 motions on the floor. Do we want to just,
My first motion was the pickup trucks.
do we want to rescind all the previous motions?
I rescind
and
every
start
one.
fresh where we are, let's just call it clean, yeah, just for the court's sake.
Yeah, let's do it. Alright. The new motion.
Yeah, so you move to rescind all your previous motions.
I moved to rescind all my previous motions, so if you, Mayor, if y'all think we need to do the payoff tonight, so she can get I make a motion to move forward with paying off the vehicle debt that we have, once she gets the remaining amount, that amount out of the, savings account. So we don't go into the new year with it.
And then we can bring, so that gives staff enough direction to go get those forms, we can always bring them to June.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor? Okay. Next motion.
Next motion to purchase the, 2 new, pickup trucks and no more than 50,000 for a used pickup truck for, public works to come out of, the Powellville fund.
Two new pickup trucks.
And a used one to replace the, snowplow.
Truck. Okay, so 3 vehicles. That's the motion.
It's not.
I second.
Snowplow.
Second. All in favor? All against?
That's tough.
Well, you make the quorum, don't you? So you can vote.
I can, but, we've got two. One.
I'm struggling, it's gonna be hot, I don't think snow, so I don't see the urgency of the snow.
If I may, the reason this come up, we bought the new snowplow equipment for this, if y'all remember last year, we bought the new snowplow equipment.
It was about all the salt and all that.
Right.
Yes.
The new snowplow equipment went on the Dodge truck that we were going to make the plow truck. We were using it in the snow and it cut off on us, and we couldn't get it working again. So we had to take the truck to the dealership, the snowplow dealership, and come to find out, because that truck had electrical problems in it, it fried the computer system to the plow system and the spreader system. Brand new $30,000 system was shorted out due to the truck's electrical issues that Dodge says they can't fix. And once they found that, the dealership was kind enough and warranted replacing both the computers in them in this system. And they said, if it does again, you're on your own. And that means we would have to come up with $30,000 to replace the computers that run the snowplow system. We didn't know that was going to happen.
Right.
And that's why it's caused. Right now, it's sitting on the truck in the yard, not plugged in, and it's just sitting there, and I don't have another truck to put it on. Because that was going to be my truck. And now, Dodge says, well, we can't do nothing about the electrical problem because this, and that's,
what year was this vehicle?
that is a 2016.
It's done time.
And that's why I'm trying to get rid of my Dodges, is because they all have some kind of electrical problem. And this one sorted out a brand new $30,000 snowplow system here.
Well, we still have that motion on the floor. We have 2 for, any opposed?
I'm kind of on the fence. Is that a vote? No, I'm on the fence. I'm kind of,
I'm opposed, but I don't think I need a vote.
yeah,
We don't get a vote.
yeah, I'm just kind of vehicled out a little bit, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
Can I help him? Only because I live with a guy who works on cars. So I actually speak cars fluently and simplify.
you're speaking fluently.
So it's like all season shopping. You know, you go to TJ Maxx and you see a sweater and the sweater is $6, but normally the sweater would be about $25 to $30 if you were to buy it during the winter time. It makes more sense to buy a snowplow and snowplow equipment in the truck service needed because cars depreciate in value the moment you drive it off the lot, period. I don't care if you're buying it from Carvana or you're buying it from Dodge itself. They automatically depreciate in value, and the moment you sign that paperwork, the warranty is counting down. And if you haven't read the paperwork in the fine print, they may not even cover it at all. So typically, it makes more sense to replace something, even if it seems costly. It's the upfront cost that which you're getting a kickback. So it's like going to Sam's Club and buying a bulk of toilet paper for $24, but it's gonna last you 6 to 8 months. You're paying an upfront cost, but you're getting a long-term return. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think what I struggle with is that we are just really vehicle rich. I mean, we've had a lot of vehicles.
All
since I've been born.
vehicles don't serve the same purpose.
That's
So like
true.
a retro
That's true.
Cadillac, they offer you comfort, but if you were to traditionally to get on a bumpy road, you're gonna feel every bump. My husband has a Cadillac, and when our truck was down, I had to pick him up in the Cadillac. Driving on 85 was the scariest ride I'd ever taken, because I felt every lump, every imperfection, because it was an older, heavier, metal-based model. Whereas though you may have a car now, so it's made of like a fiberglass, more of a really industrial plastic. So that's why it seems a little bit like, why are we paying for something when you could probably modify for something else? But you could ultimately run into the same issue and even use more vehicles than you already have in your lot.
Thank you so much for that. I think we've got enough information.
I'm trying to get rid of vehicles.
Yeah, so,
I'm trying to get rid of my Dodge. They're all problems.
What you gonna purchase, a Ford?
Whatever I can get for a reasonable price, and I'm hoping
Can you
not to
get a
get something.
Toyota?
Huh?
Can you get
Right
a
now, we're going with Fords because they've been very durable and reliable.
Right,
And if Chevrolet has something that's reasonable, we'll go with a Chevrolet.
okay, thank you all, thank you.
can we make it?
I'll support, yes.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, thank you. Let's move on. We've got.
Got one more for the events.
With the vehicles.
You got one more committee member.
Yeah, I'd like to appropriate moving $5,000 to the events to finish out the year they requested.
I second.
Okay. Any opposed?
Oh, no.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll shut
All
up.
right, so let's move on to item number 14.
Well, Mr.
I
Mayor.
think you've
I got
already,
one. I got
yep,
one.
yep.
I'm gonna tell you something that I'm just gonna step out on this one. I wanna say probably 5 years ago, the board, we took a reduction in pay because the town was in the red. And I don't even remember, it was like we cut it in half or what?
We went down to what we originally were being paid. I don't remember how much that was. You made the motion, I seconded, so.
Yeah, I think it was, everybody voted for. We took a cut in pay to be on the board because we were in the red and we wanted to do our part to help Ranlo get their finances. So we took a reduction. So my opinion on that is that I really see things moving in a very positive direction here in Ranlo. I'm in awe of the community support coming to meetings. This was not our norm for many, many years while I was on the board. But I say that to say that I do think that it needs to be moved back to what it was previously before we took that reduction. Because I see so much. You all are amazing. I believe you all can contribute. I want to encourage people to run for commissioner positions. And sometimes to get the better candidate, when they look at what is offered to be on the board, they'll say, it's not worth my time. You know what I'm saying? It's just not worth my time for the
Okay,
case.
Kate, are you gonna make?
So I would like a motion.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion. One thing I don't remember what the amount was.
We brought it up before, and somebody was gonna look it up.
We looked and we couldn't find anything higher in our most recent records. Right now, it's the entire line item is $21,600, which divided by 6 is $3,600 a year, which is $300 a month. So if you wanna recommend to staff to increase that number, or if the majority of the board can say what number you want, I'll put that.
Can we take that to the?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
We'll
It's
table
up to
it.
y'all.
We'll table that. We'll table that.
Mr. Mayor, then before we jump items, if we could, let's decide if we want to do another budget workshop and then what day. And I would like a vote to set a public hearing for the June 11th board meeting. That way that's already advertised, and the public hearing for the budget will happen on June 11th. So that requires a
Do
vote.
we need another meeting for the workshop?
It's up to y'all to
Do
decide.
we need another meeting for the workshop?
For June 11th, because you won't be able to make the meeting.
No, I won't, but you'll have four.
So the June 11th meeting is the public hearing, and then after the public hearing closes, the vote to adopt the budget. So if anything happens between now and then, it would have to happen between now and then.
Do we need another one?
Because I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to make the meeting.
It's not 15.
I don't think we need another workshop at this point. It's up to the board to make the decision, but, from my perspective, I don't think we need another workshop.
What is this?
Yeah. It seems like the majority is thinking, no, if there's maybe heartburn with that, we can
Just
always,
wait till June.
it doesn't just have to, you and I can always have a conversation. Like, things happen in between board meetings, I work every other day of the month too, normally during the day. What I will ask though is the board could just vote to say, we'd like to make a motion to set the public hearing for the budget for June 11th at the regularly scheduled board meeting. That's it.
I make such a motion.
Okay. Second, anyone?
I'd like to second.
Okay, all in favor? All right. Okay, so let's move on to the item 14, the financial report, monthly report.
Yeah, nothing to report. It's what you see every month. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. I think we already seen it. If anybody has any questions, I have it. Okay, let's move on to item number 15, discussion of the RFP / Q for the lodge land and water plant land.
You mean, talk about that one? Yeah, so I know this is one that Commissioner Hill wanted to talk about. The board could either just discuss it tonight, I can just kind of set the table and see what the direction is. I've gotten a lot of inquiry from different board members about the land right here next to the lodge, and should we put an RFP or Q out essentially to say, should we try to design a trail right there? We also have the 20 acres down at the water plant land that I've been out with members of the planning commission, Mayor, you and I have been out there. I know there's been some different thoughts about the water plant itself, about a recreation area. I know Commissioner Hill, who wanted to be here, wanted this on the agenda to not lose any steam and say, well, if we're gonna do something with it, let's do something with it. But I think what would be helpful to staff is if the board could have that conversation, and we talked about this before the meeting, to kind of give that direction. Like, what does the board want with that land, even if it's just a high level kind of in theory thought, and that can give us enough, it can give us enough direction where if we draft an RFP or an RFQ, we know what we're asking.
So it's been a really long night so far. It's past 9 o'clock.
Can we table this?
Yeah, so let's table it.
Sure. We'll probably talk about it at the June meeting.
And we should talk about it in the June meeting.
You got that, Madam Clerk? We'll put that on the June agenda.
Okay?
Awesome.
Is that okay with the board? Okay, so let's go ahead with your report, Charlie.
Yes, this will be the fastest I've ever spoken. I mentioned earlier, basically, hopefully if we can get through the appropriation cycle at Congress, $1.8 million coming from Congressman Tim Moore, so we just want to extend our thanks to the Congressman and his staff for considering us as a very competitive process, and we have been selected. So if we can somehow get through committees at the congressional level, and then if the feds can pass the budget, we will get $1.8 million. One thing that's very important that I do want to slow down and talk about is we've had, as I'm sure everyone's experienced it, an update in our billing software. It's very, very exciting. It's going to be amazing. It's really difficult right now. Every process, every transition always has the kind of hard parts, and right now we're in the middle of it. So this was the first month that we issued a bill from our new system. I will say if you go to the old portal and see a zero balance, you can still pay the balance there. If you're confused, you can call town hall. We're getting some feedback that we're not answering the phones because our phones do not stop ringing. We're answering as many calls as we possibly can. I've been picking up calls, Raymond's been picking up calls. It's very difficult, but we're trying to be as helpful as possible. But just know that we're giving it all our all. It's just a natural change, and when there's a big crazy change like this, our whole entire financial software for our entire system completely getting changed over. There's just going to be some bumps, and we're kind of in the middle of it. So I just ask for maybe a little bit of grace from everybody. Just know that it's going to be better on the other end of this. And now that we're already in it, it's going to be better even sooner. We'll be able to run debit cards. Life is going to be good. The new portal is going to be coming out soon. It's going to be so much easier. But thank you for bearing with us while we kind of go through all that stuff. Because it's a disaster in the meantime, but it's going to be good. Milltown night tomorrow, and then Chiefs. You guys want to go ahead? Whoever, or Captain Down, you want to go first? Excited to have you here, Cap.
Commissioner citizens, the Ranlo Police Department had a total of 723 events for the month of April. Including those events were 9 civil disturbance, 9 domestics, 4 assaults, 6 damage to properties. We issued 116 citations, made 5 arrests. The flock camera read 289,018 plates with 21 hits.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cap, very much.
I was thinking the same thing.
I'll be right back.
I thought you were getting out of it, Chief, not quite yet. You're still going.
Okay, go ahead.
Evening, Mayor, Commissioner. Citizen Ranlo. Month of April, Ranlo responded to 17 calls, or, 72 calls, 19 EMS, 8 fire alarm, 8 motor vehicle accidents, 5 hazmat calls, 5 service calls, 17 good intent calls, 3 brush fires, 3 illegal burns, 2 structure fires, 1 vehicle fire, and we assisted PD with 1 call. That's all I have for y'all, but I want to thank y'all for the hard work and dedication that y'all put forth in the town. A lot of good progress going on, I'm proud of you. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Are we still under burn restriction or something?
So I want to work, because we're getting so late in the night, we're off the burn ban for the state, but what I will tell you is, please be conscious, because we're in a drought as well. If you're gonna burn, get that permit from the forestry service, 100 foot from the structure, have a water source. But also keep in mind, you can't burn in the town of Ranlo in the city limits unless it's in a pit or a cooking fire. So everybody needs to keep that in mind, but be cognizant of the drought anyway, okay? Thank you.
Hey, Chief, and CJ was gonna talk a little bit about that, so go ahead, CJ.
Once again, thank y'all for approving the trucks for us. It is a big help. Public Works we're on wheels, a lot of things. The service trucks that you purchase, unfortunately, they are the cheapest things. We're getting close to start looking for garbage trucks, but we ain't there yet. But I just want to give you an update. We got a notice from Two Rivers. If y'all, I told you about the water reduction that we're trying to save 10%. We got notice from Two Rivers that they will be monitoring to make sure we make the 10% cut, or they will enforce fines if we do not make our 10% cut. So right now, we're asking the residents to cut back water use. We're not making it mandatory yet unless the news is saying there's water utilities going to update their water restrictions. We don't know if Two Rivers is part of it. And we don't know if it's going to be mandatory restrictions. Right now, this is like, please don't use water, and but for the town, you will cut 10% out. They are the water authority. They have the right, because the state and the Catawba River peoples govern what they can draw out of the river. But right now, we as a town are asking the residents to conserve water nicely, and we're not enforcing nothing, but it might come to that point if Gastonia says, yeah, y'all got to. And I just want to give everybody an update. And the drought forecast, the rain, only thing the rain did for us was stop it. It didn't improve it. It just kind of paused it for a minute. So in the next week, they're thinking that it's probably going to go back to severe drought, not just whatever. We're severe drought now, and whatever the next step is probably what's going to happen if we don't get no rain.
The last time was like 2007 or 8. When I was
2008, yes.
They're saying they're close to going to stage 3, which would require basically a 20 to 40% reduction in water use.
Yes.
That's serious stuff.
Yeah, and the town's done its part. The splash pad will not be opening because the splash pad is a non-recyclable system. So what that goes through is used up, so it don't get recycled and cleaned. And Public Works is not washing trucks, and we're doing what we can to conserve water. And the fire department, They were expecting hydrants, and I reached out to Chief Lewis not to be flushing hydrants because we can't, because that's a quick water loss for us. So Chief Lewis kindly agreed not to flush hydrants, but they're still going to do the maintenance and greasing and oil. And we're excited that the Ranlo water line project is kicking off.
Awesome.
Contractor should be anytime now bringing in equipment to get started. And DOT has said that Ranlo's pavement of Spencer Mountain Road will start in July.
July, okay.
Yeah, because they're going to start in Stanley, and they go to Dallas and come to Ranlo. But it is going to happen.
Awesome.
That's all I got.
You got any foresight on the sidewalks?
We're still working with, Moon's, drawing up a plan or blueprint, because we have to submit that to the state, because the right-of-way agreement we had expired, and the state just wants it renewed. Now, they just have to submit the plans to them and go through the step all over, and then come back and present it to y'all and see what y'all want to do, and how y'all want to spend the money.
We're still projecting to be out of bid for that sidewalk project in the next month or two.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Y'all, hey, you know, while I get a job, water restriction, it's confusing with a lot of people.
Yeah, so.
Water in your grass, is it no, or it's supposed to be?
We're asking twice a week after 6 p.m.
Depending where you're at.
In Ranlo.
Okay.
In Ranlo. If you live in Gastonia, that might tell you something different. But right now, we're twice a week after 6 p.m.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Mayor, that's all I have for the town manager report. Thanks, everyone.
All right, okay, I'm gonna do my comments real quick. As you can see, we got a lot going on. Hopefully, we can do something to shorten it a little bit. I'm not sure if we need to split the meetings up when you have that many items that's going to be happening. But I'm excited about what's happening. Sorry about the late meeting tonight, but I'm excited about what's happening. And Ranlo's gonna look a whole lot different next year. I think you should be excited about that as well. I think we're making an example of people working together. So I'm just proud of what everybody's doing. And and believe me, even with your rezoning thing, we've been addressing every problem. The town manager's been doing a great job at addressing every issue that, even to mailboxes. So I've even called the postmaster about a lady's mailbox and Rex 1 and 2, their mailboxes. So we've been aggressively making sure that we take care of everyone that lives here in Ranlo. So I'm just gonna move on to the comments from the board. Start with Mayor Pro Tem Connor here.
Thank you all for coming to our meetings. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your suggestions and ideas. And it's just a great time to be in Ranlo. Thank you.
Commissioner Moore?
We don't have a planning board, right?
Well, we have a planning board. Yes, there's been issues with appointments with the county ETJ and getting a focus on board. There's been some parliamentary issues that were squaring away before that official meeting can really take place. Because the first meeting we had, there wasn't a plan.
So we can legally have a public hearing the 11th for her rezoning request.
I'd like to check with the attorney, everybody, just to make sure that's okay, if there's going to be a change or text amendment to any union or anything like that. We have to, I want to make sure our ducks in a row for that. But I can get that.
That's all I have. Thank y'all.
Okay. Commissioner Lockley? We have any comments?
I did go to the meeting with the Ranlo Experience and enjoyed it. It was a good meeting.
Commissioner Hill, something?
Commissioner Hill, do you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, I would recommend that maybe, hold on.
Oh, we can hear you. Everyone can hear you.
I would recommend that maybe we some of the top 7 to 10 items on the agenda, like the top priority items between no more than 10, and maybe that will shorten the meetings where, and you can,
Okay, we got a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? All right, thank you guys.
See you at Middletown night tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for bringing
it.